I never thought a piece of paper could ruin my life, until she smiled at him. It was a Tuesday evening. The sun had dipped below the city skyline, painting the apartment in gold and shadow. I sat on the edge of our couch, staring at the contract. We had both signed. Lines and clauses that were supposed to make life simple now felt like chains. Every word screamed, "This isn't real." She walked in, humming softly, the smell of jasmine clinging to her hair. My stomach twisted. Something had shifted, something I couldn't name yet. She didn't even look at me. "You're late again. Meeting him?" I asked, my voice tight, the words tasting bitter in my mouth. She froze just for a moment, then laughed, brushing it off. "It's nothing. Don't overthink." I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw the contract across the room, tear it into pieces, shout at her that she had no right to betray me like this. But my hands only shook, and the words stuck in my throat. It wasn't just her smile at him. It was the way she had been texting, always sneaking glances at her phone, the quick taps she pretended weren't there. And now, the screenshot. I had never meant to see it, but my curiosity got the better of me. Her phone unlocked in my hand for just a second, and there it was, her ex-boyfriend, name flashing in bold letters, messages that made my chest tighten. "Can't wait to see you tonight." The world seemed to blur around me. I stared at the screen, hoping it wasn't real. Maybe it was a joke, a prank, something I could laugh off. But the way she had smiled at him at the cafe that morning, the way her eyes lingered, there was no joke there. I sank onto the couch, my head in my hands. I could hear her humming in the kitchen, the sound twisting the knife deeper. Every laugh she shared with him in public, every whispered message behind my back. It was a betrayal that cut sharper than anything I had ever felt. I need some air," I muttered, barely able to keep my voice steady. She didn't look up, just smiled again, brushing past me. Her confidence, her calm, it was infuriating. And that was the first real twist. She didn't even feel guilty. At work the next day, the rumors began. Whispers in the hallway, knowing looks from colleagues. Someone casually mentioned seeing her and him together. Someone else laughed, thinking I wouldn't hear it. But I did. I always heard it, and every word stung. "I saw everything, you know," my friend Mark whispered, sidling up to me near the coffee machine. His eyes flickered toward her in the corner. "You should be careful. Don't let it crush you before you're ready." I nodded, but I didn't trust anyone. Not yet. My pride burned hotter than the pain in my chest. I was smart. I was proud. I had never been the type to let life control me. And yet, I felt powerless. Every day, the small signs piled up. Late night, texts she quickly hid, phone calls she ended abruptly, that quick glance when she thought I wasn't watching. My mind started playing tricks. Was I imagining things? Was this all paranoia? And then, a small, cruel pattern revealed itself. Each time she smiled at him in public, my heart sank a little further. Each message, each whispered joke, each casual brush of her hand against his, it was a loop of pain I couldn't escape. One night, I finally broke. Alone in our apartment, I sank to the floor, my back against the wall. The contract lay beside me, edges curling, mocking me. I traced the lines with my fingers, wishing the words could erase themselves, wishing all of this had never happened. I could feel the slow burn of anger and betrayal mixing with something else. Shame. I had trusted her. I had opened my heart, even though it was just a contract, and she had shattered it. And yet, amidst the wreckage of my emotions, a tiny spark ignited. I would watch, I would wait, I would let karma do its work. But I wouldn't be powerless anymore. I started collecting the evidence quietly. Screenshots, small notes, anything she left behind that proved what I already knew. Every lie she told, every secret meeting, I would have proof. And when the time came, she would see that I had known all along. I realized then I whispered to myself, my fingers clutching the contract like a lifeline. She wasn't mine. Not ever. But even as I made that decision, the sinking feeling remained. I was stepping into a game I didn't fully understand, and the first move had been hers, not mine. Later, when she came into the room smiling, I watched her carefully. Every laugh, every tilt of her head, every casual touch of her hair, it was a mask. Behind it, I could feel the truth, the secrets she thought I would never uncover. I didn't speak. I didn't move. I simply watched, letting her dance around the apartment like a ghost in my life. And I waited for the moment the mask would slip. That night, lying awake, I plotted silently. I would not let her betrayal define me. I would not let her control the narrative. I would survive this, and I would make sure she regretted every smile she ever gave to him. But the first chapter of this war was over. The battlefield had been set, and I was finally awake to the game. I realized, then she wasn't mine, not ever. You don't get it. He's back, she whispered, eyes wide, her voice trembling like glass. I laughed bitterly, the sound hollow in our apartment. Back? Back to ruin my life? Her lips pressed together, biting her lip, her nervous habit. She looked guilty, yet scared. And for the first time, I saw her panic, the crack in her perfect mask. It wasn't supposed to happen. I thought we had control, that our arrangement was safe, predictable. But the universe had other plans. Her ex, the one I had only heard about in passing, had returned. And suddenly, the world was watching us. I saw him first at the cafe across the street, leaning against the counter with that smug smirk of his. He didn't look like someone who had changed. He looked like a predator, confident, unafraid. And she laughed with him, oblivious to the storm building inside me. My chest tightened, my fingers curling into fists. I could feel my face heating up, humiliation burning like acid. I wanted to storm across the street, demand answers, shove him into oblivion. But something in me held back, something cold, calculating. I had learned from chapter 1. I would watch, wait, and collect the evidence. The first repeat pain loop hit quickly. At dinner that night, she laughed at something he said over a text, her eyes lighting up. I swallowed bile. The second incident, a casual brush of her hand against his arm while they met at a mutual friend's gathering. The third, she mentioned almost offhandedly that they had inside jokes I didn't understand. 3 stabs, each sharper than the last, each reminding me I wasn't in control. I wasn't alone in noticing. My friend Kieran, the quiet one, always tapping his pen when thinking, leaned across the table whispering, "I've seen him around. You should be careful. She's not being honest." I nodded, but I didn't trust anyone fully yet. Kieran was the first person outside myself to notice the cracks. He would become my ally, though I didn't know it fully yet. The next morning, I confronted her. "You said you wouldn't contact him again," I said, holding back the anger in my voice. She smiled, falsely calm. "I won't. You're overthinking." Overthinking? The voice note on her phone told a different story. I had found it hidden, a recording of her laughing with him just yesterday. My stomach churned. She lied. Again. Anger surged like wildfire. I couldn't control it this time. I punched the wall. Pain shot through my knuckles, but it didn't matter. The betrayal burned hotter. My mind raced, torn between revenge and self-restraint. That's when the pressure figure entered, the one who always hovered in my life, judging silently. My father's voice came sharp in my head. "People are watching you. Don't embarrass yourself." And he wasn't wrong. Every action, every misstep would be scrutinized. Public humiliation was a real weapon, so I planned. I documented everything, screenshots, voice notes, small notes about when and where they met. Every lie, every hidden interaction I wrote down. I wasn't going to act rashly. I would let her mistakes speak for themselves. At work, she acted perfectly normal, a model partner for the world. But I saw her secret tremors, the way she avoided my gaze when she thought no one was looking, the subtle tightening of her smile when she talked about him. The facade was cracking, and I was ready. Kieran noticed it too. "You're stronger than you think," he said, tapping his pen. "But don't let her get to you. Play your cards, carefully." I felt a strange mix of relief and determination. The pieces were falling into place. The ex's return had thrown chaos into my life, but it had also given me leverage. I could let the world see the truth, slowly, deliberately. That evening, she tried to charm me, laughing about nothing, brushing past me with casual intimacy. I didn't respond. I simply watched, notebook in hand, silently recording. Every laugh, every touch, every casual glance at him. It would all be proof. And yet, despite the anger, a sliver of sadness gnawed at me. I had trusted her. I had believed. This contract, this arrangement could work. And now? Now I was awake to the truth. She wasn't mine. She never had been, but I wasn't going to let her win. Not publicly, not privately. My revenge would be quiet, precise, and earned. Every detail of her lies, every betrayal would be revealed. On my timeline, on my terms. As I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, I felt the first real thrill of control. The countdown had begun. Every meeting, every casual text, every smile she shared with him, I would turn them into my arsenal. "Tomorrow," I whispered into the darkness, fingers tapping the notebook. "Everyone will see who I really am and who she really loves." And I smiled, cold and sharp, because the game had begun. The countdown had begun. 7 days. 7 days until everything would change, until everyone would see the truth she had tried to hide. I had become meticulous, almost obsessive, recording every detail of her life, the smiles she thought were private, the casual touches with him, the lies she told to cover her tracks. She didn't know. She couldn't know. Every laugh in public, every fleeting glance at her phone, every casual mention of plans, it all fed the trap I was building. And I was careful. Publicly, I remained calm, even cold. Privately, I cataloged each betrayal, with precision. The first public betrayal arrived at a friend's birthday party. She laughed too loudly at a joke he made, brushing his arm when she thought I wasn't looking. The crowd didn't notice, but I did. I didn't react. I stayed hidden, observing. The small golden ring she had given me, the one I wore daily, caught the light on her finger. It gleamed like a symbol of everything I had lost. The second strike was even sharper. A birthday post on social media revealed her lying double life. The X in the background, captions full of smiles that weren't for me. My chest tightened, and anger mingled with the sting of betrayal. I tapped my pen against my notebook, reminding myself, patience. Wait for the right moment. And the third? A phone call that should have made me appear vulnerable. She expected me to react emotionally, to collapse under the weight of her lies. Instead, I used it to my advantage, letting her see a false weakness, while I controlled every word. The ex tried to intervene, trying to charm me or scare me, but I was already 2 steps ahead. The pieces were falling into place, and she was still blind to it. At night, I thought about the mirror in my hallway, the one I avoided for weeks. I hated what I saw, the rage, the bitterness, the desire for destruction bubbling inside me. Voice in my head whispered, "You'll never forgive her. Will you?" My mirror character, the reflection of the man I could become if I let anger consume me, stared back. I swallowed hard. I didn't want to be him. I wanted justice, but I didn't want to be broken by hate. I felt torn between revenge and moral limits. The betrayal cut deeper than I had expected. She hadn't just lied. She had humiliated me, manipulated me, and forced me to question my own judgment. I remembered all the small moments, her casual lies, the whispered conversations, the subtle glares she thought I wouldn't notice. Every one of them burned like fire under my skin. Finally, I decided it was time for a private confrontation. I called her to meet me in the apartment, careful to stay composed. She arrived, smiling, but the smile faltered when she noticed the notebook in my hand, the phone in my pocket, the proof I had gathered meticulously. "Why are you showing this to everyone?" she cried, panic rising in her eyes, voice breaking. I looked at her, calm, cold. "Because the truth deserves a stage," I said. My words were sharp, deliberate. I laid out everything I had collected, screenshots, messages, recordings, dates, and times. Every lie, every betrayal, every secret she thought I wouldn't uncover. Her eyes widened. She opened her mouth to argue, but I interrupted. "I'm not here to fight. I'm here to show you that I know. Everything." The ex tried to barge in, to charm his way into control, but it was too late. The trap had been set. Every move I had made, every lie I had caught, every public display of betrayal, she couldn't undo any of it. I could feel the tension building, thick and suffocating, like the air before a storm. I didn't gloat. I didn't shout. I simply let the evidence speak. And it did. The look on her face was priceless. Panic, guilt, fear, realization. In that moment, I saw it all. The arrogance, the selfishness, the games she thought she could play. She had underestimated me. She had underestimated the quiet, calculating storm I had become. And then, as I watched her stumble trying to find excuses, I whispered under my breath almost to myself. And that's when she realized. I knew everything. The day it all broke was quiet at first. She walked into the room with that same composed smile she always wore in public, but I could see the panic behind it. Her hands trembled slightly, lips pressed together, eyes darting like she was expecting the world to collapse around her. I didn't mean, she stammered, voice cracking under the weight of her own lies. I cut her off, cold and precise. It's too late for meaning. Actions speak louder than lies. Her face went pale, and for a second, I almost felt pity. Almost. But I remembered the months of humiliation, the private betrayals, the lies hidden behind laughter. This wasn't about pity anymore. It was about closure, about reclaiming myself. The public saw something different. Friends, colleagues, even family noticed tension but assumed it was some trivial disagreement. They didn't know the storm that had been brewing behind closed doors. I let them think what they wanted. Publicly, she still smiled, still nodded. Politely, still acted like nothing had happened. But privately, that was where the unraveling began. I revealed the proof slowly, deliberately. Screenshots, recordings, even the signed confession she had left carelessly behind. Everything exposed her. Each revelation was like a drop of ice water down her spine. Her ex lost his influence, realizing that the game had shifted. Karma didn't need my hand. It was unfolding naturally. Why are you doing this?" she asked, voice trembling, as if she had only just realized the consequences of her own actions. I looked at her without anger now, just clarity. "Because the truth deserves to be seen, and I deserve to see it too," witnesses murmured, whispers spreading like wildfire. Phones buzzed, notifications chimed, social media lit up with subtle hints of her lies. She could no longer hide. Every smile, every casual touch, every whispered message, everything came to light. I walked away from the confrontation, feeling the weight lift slightly, but the emptiness hit me all at once. Alone in my apartment later that night, I finally let the tears fall. I cried for the months of betrayal, for trusting someone blindly, for the dreams I had built on a foundation of lies. My body shook, my chest ached, and for the first time in weeks, I allowed myself to truly feel the pain I had held in. And then, a calm settled over me. I realized something crucial. Revenge wasn't the goal anymore. Justice had its place, but my life, my future, was mine to reclaim. I decided on self-transformation. I would move on, wiser and stronger, leaving her behind to face the consequences she had sown herself. Kieran, my quiet ally, tapped his pen beside me, watching me in silence. He didn't need words. I understood him perfectly. Life wasn't about punishment. It was about surviving, learning, and becoming better. I packed her things, gave her space to leave, and as the door clicked shut behind her, I felt a strange sense of liberation. The apartment was silent now, but it wasn't empty. It was mine again. The burden of betrayal no longer weighed on me. It had been transformed into something stronger: awareness, control, and freedom. The mirror character that had haunted me, through the ordeal, the reflection of rage and bitterness I feared, now seemed distant. I had confronted that part of myself and chosen a different path. I had allowed justice to unfold naturally, but I had preserved my soul in the process. I sat on the couch looking at the empty space where she had once smiled and lied. The city outside buzzed with life, indifferent and unstoppable. And I understood that some mistakes can't be forgiven. Some betrayals leave scars that never fully fade. But surviving them, growing from them, that was a victory only I could claim. And as I finally exhaled, a sense of quiet strength filled me. The storm had passed, the countdown was over, and I was free. Some mistakes can't be forgiven, but I survived them.